Hello everyone, today we're making a video about Mexican sauces, talking about the varieties of chilies we can find in Mexico. And for that we're making 4 types of versatile and beautiful sauces, talking about its elements and how to use them. And now we can start with a classic salsa macha. This sauce can be made with only chile de árbol, but today we're making it the way I like to do it. In this case we're taking 3 types of dry chilies. On one hand we have guajillo chili. This one is dried mirasol chili. This chili is not spicy at all, however it has a lot of flavor, aroma, and most of all, color. We're taking out the center and the seeds so we can break the pieces by hand. The second element is ancho chili. This will give a lot of flavor, sweetness, and body to the sauce. Chile ancho is basically dried poblano chili. This is green but it turns red when it's ripe, and that's the ideal and sweetest point to dry it. There's a variety of poblano pepper that is darker and has a brown tone, and when it's dried, it's completely black and it's called mulato. The mulato chili is one of the main ingredients of mole poblano. And here we have chile de árbol, that means tree chili. That's going to be the spicy element of the sauce. I'm using 2 bunches of this, and that's enough if you like it very hot. This chili is very spicy and it gives a funny sensation on the throat. Even though it's not sweet, it has a lot of flavor, and it's very tasty when it's fried, like a compliment for some broth. Unlike sweeter chilies, these not get bitter when it's overcooked. And now we can move on with the garlic, a fundamental element for the sauce. We're going to use 5 cloves of garlic this big. Even though salsa macha is not completely homogeneous or smooth, the garlic will give the sauce certain stability thanks to its lecithin content. This lecithin will be an emulsifier element for the sauce. And now we can continue with 2 elements responsible for the texture, in addition of body and flavor. We have this match of sesame seeds. This will be toasted and add to the sauce at the end. And finally the peanuts, with a good flavor and nice creaminess. And now it's time to do the recipe. Here in this green clay pot I have 8 pieces of guajillo, 8 pieces of chile ancho, and 2 bunches of chile de árbol. Now we're breaking everything into pieces so everything can be well submerged in the oil. We can add 5 cloves of garlic and enough amount of salt that we are going to rectify later. Now we're adding the sunflower oil, just enough to cover all the ingredients. This can also be done with corn oil, but I really prefer sunflower because it's very neutral. And obviously this can also be done with olive oil. It has a very different taste, but it's very good. Just keep in mind that olive oil is not typical for Mexican cuisine. However, it's also very good for this recipe. Since everything is well submerged, we can start with our infusion. So we can put it on a slow minimum heat. We're not frying anything, this is more like a confit or maybe an infusion in oil. Now we can proceed with the roasting of the peanuts that I'm doing with the skin and everything, because I like the flavor that way and also the way it looks. I'm doing this with no fat, and we can also do it in the oven. Another very good option is to deep fry the peanuts. The only thing you don't want to use is raw peanuts. Toast peanuts have a totally different profile because the flavors and aromas are awakened and they get quite crispy, but also it remains very creamy inside. Therefore it makes the sauce more substantial, and that way it acquires another degree of complexity. Salsa macha will always be a complemental sauce. This sauce is totally versatile and goes very well with so many things. This process should be on a slow heat. They will be ready when they get a nice golden color and they release a buttery aroma. This aroma is already stimulating my appetite. And now we're ready to toast the sesame seeds. We're also doing it in a dry pan, but this time on high heat. You're getting to the perfect point when you begin to hear the sizzle and the seeds begin to jump like popcorns. This is already changing its color, and it's beginning to release a beautiful aroma. We are still cooking the sauce over a low heat. This takes 20 or 25 minutes. And I like to check out the garlic to see the point of the sauce. If the garlic turns soft and it gets a yellowish color, we can say everything's ready. This could get a darker color, but this should never get overcooked or get a black color. If you don't cook this till this point, you won't get the perfect consistency of the sauce. It has already happened to me a few times, and the sauce just looked like a lot of oil with chili sediments. Another crucial element when you're grinding the sauce is that we must cool everything down, because this has to be at room temperature. That way we can get get some stability and emulsion in the sauce. This is nothing like a mayonnaise or a smooth sauce, but it does have a degree of integrity and thickness, and it's also very important to measure the amount of oil. In fact, this sauce is very similar to Chinese chili oil. Obviously, you can use this oil for marination or to cook something. You can notice how this is getting thicker, with a beautiful, nice color and body. Now we can put it back in the clay pot so we can mix with the other elements. I'll just put the peanuts on the blender instead of chopping by hand. We're ready to add the sesame seeds. This element here really makes the difference. And now the last thing to do is to add a little bit of sesame oil. Now we can put everything in a glass jar, and as the day goes by, the sauce will be even more delicious. And remember always to keep it on a cool and fresh space. And now we can move on to the preparation of our second salsa macha. But in this case, it will be with more regional elements. I have the joy of living in the state of Oaxaca, the state with the greatest varieties of chilies and ingredients of all country. And with the same principles, we're playing with these chili peppers. So here we have chile costeño rojo, with a lot of flavor and not too hot, which also has a yellow version. In the other hand, we have some dry chile tuxta, a hotter chili with red and black tones. In its fresh version, it has yellow, green, red, and even orange tones. It's an endemic chili from Oaxaca, very delicious, quite spicy, and with a lot of aroma. And for the hot element, I choose dry Pekin chili. Fresh or dry, it's very delicious. This chili is very small, but it's super spicy. It is almost hot as the habanero. This chili is often used for esquites and elotes. As the previous preparation, we're going to use garlic as an emulsifying element. We are using these peeled pumpkin seeds. We're going to toast the pumpkin seeds so they can get crispy but internally creamy. And to finish off with another Oaxacan element, we have here some little chapulines, fried with garlic mojo and lemon juice. These grasshoppers are incredible. They are extremely crispy and caramelized, since they have an amazing level of protein. The chapulines are basically fed with black bean leaves, and they will give aroma and flavor to the sauce like you have no idea. Now we can proceed with the preparation of the sauce. Now we have hotter chili peppers in the first sauce. I'm using a handful of red costeño chili, a handful of tuxta chili, and just a pinch of Pekin chili. We are doing the same with sunflower oil, but you can also play with other types of vegetable oil as long as they do not have a prominent flavor and the melting point is not too low. And while we leave the chilies cooking over extremely low heat, we can proceed to toast the pumpkin seeds. Just like the sesame seeds, they're going to start jumping. They will get crispy on the outside but creamy on the inside. As we think about the ingredients and the process, we can already realize it's going to be an amazing sauce. As you can see, the toasting is very even, and now we can take this out to add it to the sauce at the end. Now it's time to toast the grasshoppers. For me, this is one of the most amazing ingredients in the world. It's such an unique and complete ingredient. Chapulines are already fried and crispy. We're just making a regeneration to restore the total crispness. Our chilies have been cooking for about 15 or 20 minutes, and again, I'm using the garlic as a guide. Now we can stop cooking before everything gets bitter. Now we can put everything on a blender. Always remember to cool down the preparation first so we can get a certain amalgamation of the ingredients. Now we can put the crispy chapulines directly in the jar, followed by the pumpkin seeds. And now we only had to add the sauce, which has a beautiful color as you can see. And it seems to be perfectly thick. As I told you, Oaxaca is the place with more varieties of chilies, and I just had to learn how to use them. Now I mix everything in the jar and this is ready. This sauce can get along with any dish, with just some black beans, fried eggs, tortillas and avocado, and this salsa macha to get everything together, and you will have the perfect meal. Very well, now that we have talked enough about dry chilies, we can talk about fresh chilies. This one here is chile poblano. This is very large and fleshy, and it's not spicy at all. The biggest concentration of capsaicin are commonly found in smaller chilies, but here we have an exception, el chile de agua. It's an endemic chili from the central valleys of Oaxaca. This is extremely aromatic, and it's very hot even though it's big. It has a peculiar and unique flavor. And here we have the hottest chili of Mexico, el chile habanero. This is just one of the most delicious chilies. This is always consumed fresh and has a very freshy, fruity and acid aroma. You can recognize it very easily by the flavor or the aroma. Habanero chili is originally from south of Brazil, Paraguay and north of Argentina. For me, these two chilies are very unique. They are not similar to any other chilies. If you know the famous ají limo, a chili used for traditional Peruvian ceviche, it's also a capsicum chinense, the family of habanero chili. When it's not so ripe, it has green tones, then it gets yellows and orange tones, and it gets red colors when it's very ripe. Now we can move on with the green chilies. This one here is chile jalapeño. This is not very spicy and you can eat this as pickles. This chili is dehydrated by smoking and that is known as chipotle. It turns red when it's ripe, and here we have chile serrano, that's commonly grown in the mountains, and this is quite more spicy. In my perception, these two chilies have very similar profiles. Serrano pepper is so much tasty and aromatic. The jalapeño, when it smokes, acquires a much more complex profile. However, the serrano chili is not consumed dry since its best profile is the fresh version. And now we move on and talk about the combination with tomatoes and onions. Here we have a mil tomate, tomatillo or green tomato, one of the most emblematic ingredients of Mexican cuisine. Many Mexican sauces and moles have a monochromatic logic. This means that they thought of many recipes combining similar colors. For example, I can combine green tomatoes with green chilies, like serrano or jalapeño. However, you can also combine green chilies with red tomato. It's also common to see combination of red tomatoes with red dry chilies. All of these combinations are perfectly interchangeable. Now, personally, I really like to combine red onion, which is sweet, with green tomato, which is very acid. And through the same logic, I like to mix the white onion, which is more acid, with a sweet red tomato. And now we're going to start up with the salsa tatemada. Here we have a hot griddle to do the tatemado. Tatemado is a technique of pre-Hispanic cooking. Now we're using 9 pieces of serrano pepper to give the sauce enough heat. We're adding 3 large jalapeños to give color, flavor, and body to the sauce. We put a white onion cut in half so that the roasting is even. Now 3 cloves of garlic, obviously with their skin to protect them. Now we can go with 5 very ripe tomatoes and let them all work the grill over a very strong heat. This is originally done in a clay comal. What we're looking for is to give it a certain smoky flavor, roasting all the skin of the chilies. Obviously, we don't want to get rid of the skin of the chilies. Tatemado can be made in a clay comal, an iron comal, or a griddle, or even better if you're cooking outdoors directly on the coals. Despite of doing it over a high heat, this procedure is quite long, however it's totally worth it. There's a very famous Argentinian chef named Francis Malman. He said that there are basically several types of burning vegetables. I didn't understand that until I started cooking Mexican food. You have no idea how important tatemado is for Mexican cuisine. Now everything's done and we are going to blend all ingredients. This can be done perfectly in a mortero, in a molcajete, or a chirmolera. This is the perfect moment to add the salt and not before, to avoid the sweating of the elements. We have to do it just a little if we want a lot of texture. If you want a more liquid sauce, you have 3 options. Number 1 is to grind the sauce much more. 2 is to let the sauce rest and let osmosis do the work. Or 3, you can add some water in the blender. I think most people here prefer a sauce with a lot of texture like this. But keep in mind that the salt will release a lot more liquid. And here we have the sauce ready. You can also add chopped cilantro if you want, but for me this is already perfect. This is just amazing. And now we're going to finish making a sauce with 2 of my favorite chilies, habanero and chile de agua. We're going to grill this over direct heat to get an even more pronounced smoky flavor. At the beginning, this will start to give off a very delicious and acid aroma, and little by little this will have a different and much sweeter smell. This will get a very smoky flavor and the final result is going to be amazing. The cooking point or the charred point is decided by you. The more you cook it, the more smoke and sweeter the flavor. Remember, we don't want to peel any of these chilies. We want all that smokiness. This takes a lot of time because these chilies have a lot of water. Let me tell you, this kind of process are the secrets of Mexican cooking. Once the chilies are soft and smooth, they can be removed. And now we can move on with the mil tomate. Green tomatoes are going to give a lot of acidity and body to the sauce. An acid sauce goes very well with a lot of food, especially the fried ones, or a food with a high fat content. And here's another trick. If you want to to increase the smoky flavor, you can add a little bit of oil or a very alcoholic drink like tequila or mezcal. I had to say this is not very healthy, but it is very delicious. When we're burning the oil, we're producing acrolein. And we cannot forget the garlic. These are already very soft. And now you can see the beauty of the elements. Look at these colors. And now we're going to put everything on a blender and all the remaining liquids of the mil tomates. And look how this is turning into a beautiful sauce. This is one of the best sauces in the whole universe. This super aromatic acid sauce is totally incredible. If you don't have these ingredients, you can also apply this technique with other types of fresh chilies, or you can try this with Peruvian ajíes. This is just luxury. I totally recommend this with a fried fish. And just by smelling and tasting this sauce, the appetite is brutally awakened. You always have to try new things and taste everything you cook. This is just a violent explosion in the mouth. And this is how we finish this little video, talking in depth about sauces and chilies, methods, techniques and varieties, and how to use them. You can also try this sauce or these techniques with other ingredients as you want. And a lot of people here say a food without chili is not food. The thing is, knowing how to use chilies is just an art. Mexican food is one of the best of the world, and especially the food from Oaxaca. I really hope you liked the video, and I really hope you can apply these techniques at your own kitchen. So thumbs up if you love chilies. Please subscribe to my cooking channel Teosinte. My name is Carlos Daniel Gamarra. Nos vemos en el próximo video.